Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our
Andy Nelson. Who's Andy Nelson? Give us the background. Man. You don't have to start with like diapers, but you can if you want. It's up to you.
Good. I can't remember back that far anyway. I guess I'll go to the beginning of my close to adult life. Well, actually, that's probably debatable when that started. But look, hey, I'm down here in Southern California. I'm not from here. I'm a transplant. I'm a Washington State native. I grew up there, just south of Seattle in Western Washington. Spent my whole youth there. My parents, neither of them went to college. Mom drove school buses. Dad was a construction worker, and somehow I got on the path that, I was of that kind of late 80s, late 80s really, getting out of high school in 91. Of course, the message to everybody was always, gotta go to college. So that certainly I kind of figured was my path at some point, but didn't know how I was going to get there. And that's kind of got me to my path down to the Army. And so I went in the Army back in, I joined when I was a junior in high school. So talking about 1990. Prior, it was pre-Gulf War, like 2 months before the Gulf War. Ended up, doing the delayed entry program. The whole thing got done and over. I was watching it on TV and it was finished before I even finished high school. So went into the Army 91, June, a couple weeks out of high school. Spent the next 3-4 months in good old Fort Benning, Georgia.
Fort Benning. So what was your MOS?
I went in with an 11X contract, right, which is unassigned infantry, with an airborne contract, because that's what I really wanted.
Right, because of course it's that, oh yeah, man, we'll send you to airborne. No problem.
Yeah, it was in my deal, man. It was in my deal. So, so I went in, and I don't know, I guess it must have been just prior to AIT, when they kind of tell you which route you're going. And back then they had, 11 Bravos, 11 Charlies, 11 hotels,
yeah.
and they had 11 mics back then. Yep. I don't know if they have 11. I don't know if they have all that
anymore. And I don't know either.
I know 11 mics were Bradleys. I mean, those are Bradley
right.
Guys,
yeah.
Right?
The crunchies.
So my whole, company was all 11 Bravos, and then 11 Charlies. And of course, the 11 Bravos giggle with 11 Charlies. Of course, at the end of this, I'll go to the end of the story right now. All the 11 Charlies who went regular Army and airborne school all got sent to Italy, assholes. so they were the lucky ones.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they got all orders for Italy. The rest of us got orders for Fort Bragg. So I went through the hot part of Georgia, or hot time of the year rather. And kind of the cold part too, because I'll tell you what, when I was in airborne school, it's frost on the ground, man, in October. So look, fast forward, I got myself into Fort Bragg.
Dude, I don't even want to hear it right now, because right now it's snowing here. It's snowing right now.
You know how many years it's been since I've seen snow?
It's such bullshit.
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say that. It's been about 1 month since I've seen snow, because if I look to the east here, I can see it out, and I guess that's the tip of the Sierra Nevadas or whatever.
Yeah.
A little bit of, but that's at a distance of many, many, many tens of miles. Snow, since I've actually touched it, it's been a long time.
Right, there you go.
It's been a long time. So anyway, look, man, I spent my 3 years at Fort Bragg. It was a pretty quiet period, not a whole lot going on in the early 90s. And then, we can talk about that again if need be. Otherwise, I made myself, I got out, threw my boots up.
Oh, it was quiet. It was quiet, but it wasn't quiet.
Well, of course not. When you're doing those weekly briefings in the movie theater, and they're always telling you about, World War III is going to blow up in 20 different places.
You're waiting. You're waiting.
Guard,
Clinton's army, baby.
That's right, man. Which was great for me, because that was drawdown time, right? So there were, I remember the first night I got to my unit. It's like November, and it's 6 p.m. and the barracks back then, I mean, Fort Bragg, I know it's different now, but the barracks back then were just these big, giant, shitty cinder block, looking things that, smelled danky. And, it was intimidating, kind of, walking in there on like a Tuesday night or something like that. And everyone's getting off and just pissed off. And some dude's mopping the floor. And like, what happened to that guy, man? It's like, yeah, he got, he came back from the Gulf War. He got busted for cocaine, and he's you got an Article 15, he's, doing X, Y, and Z, and then, no, they're not going to keep him.
Now he's on 45 and 45.
Yeah, and he's out, he's getting out. So I'm like, holy shit, what's going on around here? But so, look, those 3 years allowed, me to move up pretty quickly as, people were, of course, they let too many folks out, and it was great. It was a good time. And I mean, I spent over half my time, lugging a M60 around. So, that was
my weapon of choice as well.
I like that thing. I mean,
I had the 60, and then we started using the 60 Echo because I was in the Marine Corps at that time.
I always thought it was an M60 E3, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that. So
we started using. It was like an M60 carbine, right?
Yep. And so, but it had like a pistol grip on the front, so you could you could shoulder fire it. So it was pretty cool. Stupid. It was stupid Rambo gun.
That's right. That's what he had, right? That's what he kind of walked around with.
It was amazing.
Drew with.
Amazing, because you sure as hell ain't doing that with the 240, which is what they have now.
Yeah, that thing looks like a beast. Man.
And it's so front heavy. Anyway, it was amazing, but.
So, hey, man, yeah. So, so I made my way back. I knew it was kind of, I got an early out, like a week or something like that, because, I got out in September of '94, and, college was supposed to start. I mean, there's some kind of crossover. So I got out like a week early, and the whole year prior to me getting out, we were doing all that training, getting ready for the invasion of Haiti. That was kind of the idea. That was going to happen. Still didn't happen. Going to happen. Didn't happen. Train for it. So I get out, drive my piece of shit little Honda Civic. Actually, I shouldn't say I love that car, man. It was a 92, and I had it my whole time in the Army. I'll show you a picture. It's pretty laughable now when you look at it. It was, remember that aqua color? Remember that aquamarine color? Super,
shit.
Like all makes had it, for like the early 90s. I had that color car, man. So I had that car. And of course, what else do you do right after you buy a car when you're 18, right? You drop like twice the value of the car into a sound system that you put in the car.
And rims.
So, and rims. And I had that too. Of course, I had those stolen, I think, no less than 2 times. But hey, it's rite of passage, man. So,
yeah, man.
So I drive my car all the way back to Seattle, from North Carolina, and start school. And then, of course, a week or 2 later, of course, is the big, almost invasion, right?
The almost. Oh, we're in the air. Nope. Psych.
Yeah. And I think I'm not even sure.
We surrender.
Some of those guys got off the ground. I don't think I was in the second 505th. And so I don't think those guys quite got off the ground yet. I'm not sure. But either way, they had whatever the almost invasion version of Blue Balls is, basically that. So I know they were none too happy after that. So, I go back to Seattle, hang out with the parents. I do my 4 years of school, kind of meandering. What I liked was learning, man. That's what I got.
What did you major in?
I started out majoring in poli-sci, although I don't even think I figured that out till like my junior year. And then somewhere along the way, probably that same year, I said, geez, I got so many history courses, which is kind of my other passion for learning. Mm-hmm. I was like, let me do a major here too. So I didn't get a double degree. I got a double major, both poli-sci and history. And then I even got a teaching credential in history of all things, but because I didn't know what I was going to do, man. I had no clue what I was going to do.
And where'd you go to school?
With this degree, University of Washington, up in Seattle.
Gotcha.
Which was, I said my dad didn't go to college, but his dad did. Went to University of Washington, as did my dad's brother. So I was kind of, I'm like, if you're from Western Washington, you're gonna, if you can go to Washington, you're gonna go.
Yeah, right.
And I still love the school for sure. Some rabid Husky fan.
Huskies, baby.
Probably some Ducks out there listening to me right now. Piss off.
Oh well, it happens. Shit happens in the Pac. What is it? Pac-12 now.
12 now. It's 12 now. Yeah.
Shit happens in the Pac-12, boys.
You got it. You got it. So actually, Ducks fans, I love it. Come on. Anyway, so so somewhere along the way, someone must have said, "What are you going to do with this degree?" And of course, I like shrug my shoulders, right? Like I don't know. And I don't know how it ended up being that I said I'm going to go to law school. It could have been as simple as someo's suggestion, like you're going to go to law school next, or whatever. I really don't know. And in retrospect, I'm going, God, that's a shitty answer, Andy. You got to have something better than that. But I don't know. I mean, I knew I liked the pursuit of knowledge. I liked learning things, no matter what it was. And, you know, it seemed like a natural kind of next step. If I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that kind of poli-sci history degree. So I figured, hey, let's go to law school. And once again, kind of my indecisiveness crops up and I don't know where I'm going to go. So I applied like 13 schools all over the country, not sure where I want to go. And I just kind of, by, you know, the slow process kind of filter through everything. And I decide between two. I don't even apply to anywhere in California at the time. I have no idea why, but I don't apply to California, anything in California. Until school, University of Pacific, you know, in Stockton, the Tigers,
Right.
they send me, you know, an application saying, hey, you know, we'll waive the application fee if you want to apply. Well, okay, why not? So I apply. The law school itself is not in Stockton on the main campus; it's in Sacramento. And they say, you know, so I start looking into it, and they got a government affairs program. Wow, okay, California. I like poli-sci government. You know, they've got the biggest government in California outside DC. This might be interesting. So I start kind of, you know, going through everything. I come down to two schools. I'm either going to go to Boston University, go East Coast, Northeast, you know, or stay West Coast, but not too close to home to kind of hit the reset button, refocus. And then once UOP said, oh, by the way, we'll pay 2 years scholarship, I said, okay, fine, done.
Literally on opposite sides of the country, though. But
yeah, and I visited Boston too. I went on a trip there just to check it out, and I freaking loved it. I was like, this is a really cool town. At the same time, I said,
Boston is, especially at that age, Boston's kind of badass. You're like,
oh yeah, I think I was 20. I must have been 25, I guess. At the
and
time,
especially
21.
back then too.
Yeah, we're talking 98, something like that.
Not
So
as much now, but it's, you know.
You know what was funny? A quick funny story. I you know, of course, I'm 25, and I have had like a part-time job in undergrad, so I got no money. I fly in there, so I get money enough to get it. I go with a girlfriend, fly across country, rent a car, and of course, what do? Like, sure, you want to want to wave coverage? I'm like, yeah, I want to wave coverage. I'm not gonna spend the extra $1 that I don't have to.
Shit.
Nobody warned me what it's like to drive in Boston, though. So you know, when you come out of the airport and you go into that tunnel or whatever, and you kind of have that like crush, you know, where it goes from like 35 lanes into like 2.
Yes, sir.
So so I'm in here with the girlfriend driving this rental car with no insurance on it, and I'm like completely shitting my pants because I'm, you know, getting ready to wreck this thing. And we finally get to some hotel, you know, whatever it was outside of town, and I'm like literally shaking, like I can see my hands going up and down, just shaking, going, I can't drive the rest of the weekend. Can you please do it?
Oh man.
And so so she drove the rest of the weekend. Luckily, we didn't drive a whole lot. I mean, take public transportation kind of to get around and all that. But I really liked that town. I just thought to myself, okay, I'm not from this area. This is going to be a lot of fun. But I said I wanted to get out of Seattle in order to hit the reset button. And this looks like I'm going to hit the reset button right into a giant rave or giant party immediately. So this probably isn't a smart idea. And you know, and it's going to be expensive as all get out. So I'll stay West Coast, but not, you know, too far Northwest. I'll get it, you know, get away from home, but not be too far away. So I said, hey, let me go into Sacramento. So I drive with a buddy at 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. Seattle time, and I think we arrived. It takes 12 hours to drive down and arrive like 6 a.m. in Sacramento. It's probably 55, 60 degrees when I leave Seattle. Get to Sacramento. The first day I get there, 110 degrees, right? Something I've never experienced, you know. And I'm going, okay, what did I get myself into? It looks like I got into the fire here. But look, you know, fast forward, I had 3 great years there in Sacramento. I ended up loving the town. Everybody told me it was just going to be terrible and it sucked. I really enjoyed it. It's really kind of a decentralized downtown. Right. Really kind of, I mean, what, you know, if you've been there, it's very, you know, it's very heavy on the neighborhood, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
So I enjoyed my time there, you know, and got myself, you know, I decided very quickly I didn't like the government angle. I wasn't going to be a government lawyer. I didn't like that at all. I found this thing called intellectual property my second year law school, and I just fell in love with that stuff. I mean, I really just love that stuff. I was like, this is interesting. I'm talking about patents and trademarks and copyrights and rights of publicity, that sort of thing. I just love that stuff, you know.
Right.
Got myself a summer associate or kind of an intern position after my second year law school in the Bay Area. It's 99 or 2000, I guess, rather. And, you know, the dot bomb hadn't quite hit yet. I got myself, onto an intellectual property team. So all I did was that sort of thing, and I got some great, interesting cases. Got an offer to come back that next year and did it, man. So 2001, the .bomb then hit, and here I was in the Bay Area as a first-year licensed lawyer.
Blown up.
Yeah. The lucky thing for me was I came in as a litigator, not a transactional attorney. So all these transactional attorneys got fired. Right. All the transactional attorneys from big law schools. I'm talking, the Harvards of the world, et cetera. All these guys and gals are unemployed. And of course I'm going, oh shit. Okay, well, I'm going to get pushed out. The fact is, I did something very different than those transactional lawyers. And so, hey, I was safe, along with a lot of folks. And litigation, of course, a lot of times when transactions go sideways or transactional work goes down, then people get litigious. And so it was, it was full employment at that point. So, so I was there for a couple of years in the Bay Area, Redwood City to be specific. A couple years later, met my then wife up in the Bay Area. She was from Laguna Niguel. We decided to move down here because I didn't have ties. She wanted to be closer to her twin sister, who was having a kid at the time, and she was also a lawyer. My wife, she hated being a lawyer. So she was working for some of those big boiler room firms. So we came down to Southern California. Meandered around a few small firms while I kind of found my way. And I got with another firm that I just left just this past week, but I was with that firm for 11 years, doing this 17 years total now. And that firm had a big, heavy apparel client base, apparel, footwear, accessories, Southern California, Australia, Hawaii.
And now where in Southern California now?
Well, I worked in Irvine. I work in Costa Mesa now. I mean, we're talking another, a mile apart here, if that.
Yeah, right.
Just dead center, Orange County, right next to the airport, a little bit south of Disneyland for those folks that don't know the area that well. So, right. And then Orange County, for those who don't know, is smack dab between LA County and San Diego County. So,
yes,
right dead center.
So
I did a lot of work.
My dad grew up in Fullerton, which isn't that much farther north, but a little bit north from there.
Yeah, and this is a sprawling place. I mean, Orange County is sprawl. It's big.
Yeah, for sure.
They do a lot of folks think.
A lot of people don't understand like what, I haven't spent a ton of time in California. I've spent time in San Diego, some time in the LA region, I guess you could say, because that's what you got to call it, because it's monstrous. And then the farthest I've ever been is Lompoc.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. That's the farthest north I've ever been. That's the farthest I've ever hung out, and that was, I spent some time on Vandenberg Air Force Base.
So did you go to Pismo Beach?
No, man. We never had any time to do any of that stuff. We
they have all the clams you can eat, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, we spent a little time in Santa Barbara, but it was like as we were going through, because we went and spent a ton of time in the Los Padres National Forest, National Forest, doing drug interdiction work.
No kidding. That's right. Oh, that's right. You and I exchanged some messages on that. Was that JTF6 or was that
JTF6, man?
Nice. Okay, I guess that thing is broader than I thought it was.
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of Central Coast area up there, which I haven't even spent that much time up that way. I mean, been to Pismo Beach, and I don't even think I've been to Monterey, believe it or not.
No.
There's the wine country that's kind of south of there, like from Sideways and all that, which is a great kind of area to go in.
Yeah, I mean, like Ventura's there, Oxnard. It's not, that's a little farther south, but then you get up north, I mean. Literally, I mean, Los Alamos isn't that far from there. Blah blah blah. Santa Maria, but
yeah, then you're just cruising
country,
north
man.
until you finally hit like Aptos and Santa Cruz and all that,
and that's it.
Hit the strawberry fields.
Absolutely not. That Central Valley. It's either that or you're either taking the 101 or you're taking the 1. That's it.
Yeah, well, you got the 5 too, I guess.
I guess you're right, but
but you got to be careful. I made the mistake one time, when you just kind of. I'm sure this can happen anywhere in the country where you're just not really paying attention. You're basically going a general cardinal direction. You're like, I'm going north, and
right.
Sure as shit, I'm going to Sacramento one time, and and that's several hour drive, and so for some odd reason, like I was most of the way, what I thought was most of the way up there. And I thought, where the hell, something doesn't look right. This drive doesn't look familiar. And the whole time I didn't realize I'd gone up the 101 rather than the 5. And so I'm like, way the hell out of the way, man. Which can happen pretty easily, and especially for a first timer. One time I was coming down from Sacramento to go visit a buddy in Laguna Beach. And this is before the age of, age of Yahoo Maps or anything, right? Or MapQuest.
Right.
And so I call him. I'm like, hey, man, I think I missed a turn because I don't know where your house is. Like, where are you? I'm like, well, I'm in Del Mar Heights, which is in San Diego, right? It's like, dude, you passed me by like 80 miles or whatever. I'm like, oh, shit.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I guess I'll see you in a couple of hours, man.
Oh,
Oops.
my God. That's crazy. So now all right. So tell this story now. You've just switched firms.
Yeah. Just about a week ago. So, I've been at my last firm for 11 years, and it was a really good run. Represented a lot of cool clients over those years. A lot of brands you would know. Like Billabong and Element and. Well, I guess I shouldn't say if you know some of these lifestyle brands, I should say. And just a lot of those related brands. Over the years, got into tussles with brands like Stussy, not Stussy. Stussy is a client, so never mind. Not a tussle with them. But Quicksilver and some of the others out there, and
so basically like surfing and skating companies for the most part.
Yeah, surf,
lifestyle, whatever.
Streetwear, lifestyle. I mean, a lot of different ways to slice that thing. So that was a lot of fun. But those, that industry is always kind of seemingly in turmoil. A lot of change of hands and ownership
always,
and that sort of thing, and
very volatile.
More so than now. So, and a lot of people in the firm, it's just we're just 11 years farther down the line. So, I kind of thought to myself, where I want to be, in the 5 years, another 10 years. And I knew a guy over at this firm that he and I had, linked up on a case like 10 years ago or something like that. And we'd always just stayed in contact and been kind of like, casual, lunch buddies here and there. And he said, hey, you should really come over. He's bugging me about it for months. And, so I kind of thought, maybe now's the time to kind of link up with another platform, where Andy Nelson, the lawyer, can, have, different force multipliers around him. So, he can, be kind of an all, a comprehensive, service to various different clients. When it comes to business clients. In particular, the folks I like to do business with are those in the military community. So, what I call, I use that term broadly, but what I mean by that is businesses owned by active duty service members, by veterans, by military spouses, and then, businesses that focus on the military community.
And do business with the military.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah.
So are you just doing trademark law, like trademark stuff? What about like patent law? Do you get into that at all, or?
I do a little bit.
It all kind of goes hand in hand a little bit, right?
It does, but usually if someone is an intellectual property lawyer, some will say they do all of them. If someone does it, I don't think that they can do all those things really, really well. And so what you'll often see is kind of a demarcation line between patent lawyers, because they'll often stick with just the patent side of things, and then what they call, sometimes it's referred to hard IP, and then the other side of things called soft IP, which tends to be trademarks, copyrights is what you hear most often. Trade secrets falls into that category.
Right.
Rights of publicity fall into that category, and even to some extent just straight contractual law as well. So that kind of tends to fall in that realm. So with patent law, I haven't really practiced that in a long time, and even when I did, it was very little. I mean, I did stupid things like I gave patent opinions on whether tail lights, could be, I'm talking about ornamental designs, or I did one on marshmallow candy of all things, like years ago. I mean, just nutty stuff like that. But that is such a deep area of law that I usually pass that off to somebody else. I know enough to recognize if someone comes up to me with an issue and says, "Hey, Andy, I want to trademark this," and look, half the time, if not more, people are using the terminology incorrectly. So I'll talk about what they have, and if it's something that is in the patent realm, I will have them talk to a patent lawyer. And I do have one in this firm now, so I'm thrilled about that. Before I did not. I just have to kind of refer it out.
Yeah, because I have a guy that wants to talk.
Cool. Yeah, if it's tail lights or marshmallow candy, man,
no.
I'm the guy, man.
No, it's got to do with like what I've done with BattleSite.
Yeah.
It's kind of something along those lines, licensing some tech from the I can't remember which laboratory, but either way.
Yeah, well, that's what I like. Yeah, the guy.
It's not even. I don't think that he definitely needs. He just needs a little guidance. I think possibly in saying, hey, how, you know what I'm saying.
Right. No, and that's what I love about this place is I've been here just over a week and everybody's been beyond helpful, which I love. It's really collegial here. Everybody tries to help each other out. And what I like about this firm, and you'll hear this, a lot of people say this about a lot of smaller firms that exist, is they have a lot of what they call big firm refugees, and that's kind of what we have here too. Everybody here has at one time or another worked in some kind of either regional firm, or like some international mega firm. Because a lot of people don't know there are law firms out there with thousands of lawyers.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think. Shit. Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's one that like some former senators and congressmen work for. I can't remember.
Yeah, I used to work for a firm here in Irvine. So I did work for a kind of a regional mega firm or big firm, you want to call it. And a lot of firms were making it a point to hire some of the more prominent U.S. attorneys once they got all over the news. And their name would be recognizable, and then there would be kind of a beauty contest to get those guys to come in and work.
Absolutely.
Which sometimes worked and sometimes didn't, because a lot of those guys would actually come and they would, they'd come from a different, not necessarily civil practice and not necessarily with any clients. So, but they got some name recognition, which could be valuable. So, so this firm has people that have worked in those big places, so know how to really do those big firm things, but deliver it in a small personal package, so to speak. Is what I dig here. So
that's awesome.
But look, for me, if it's patent, it goes that direction. If it's something else that somebody comes up with, which is content, branding, my likeness, my face, my voice, my whatever, this deal, Andy, that's the kind of stuff that I like to dig into. And it's something that I've done, with some interruptions here and there, but pretty much my entire career. It's not something, I don't know, there's probably not a subject matter in intellectual property or something, that I haven't touched, I don't think.
Because I know we've got a lot of folks that listen to this that are, veteran entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you on here, because, number one, to tell your story. And number two is like, hey, we do have these folks that are veterans. Like, we have people that get where you're at, and, they're not all stuck up freaking college boy, whatever. They've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and they can help you with your business.
Sure. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I mean,
a lot of times that comes far and few in between, but believe it or not, I mean, as you know, we've had this conversation in the past. There's more people like you out there than you would think.
For sure.
And it's wicked cool. It's just cool to link people up like that, because we all need good lawyers on our side, and that doesn't mean that all veteran lawyers are great, but let's be honest. You know what I'm saying. A lot of times, at least you have something in common coming into it, versus, they can translate into your language. Whereas in, Jesus, legalese is like asinine. I can't even go
It's
there.
a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge for all of us. I mean, just like, look, when I got out of the Army, I mean, I was only in 3+ years. And,
Right.
how long did it take? One, before I dropped a lot of my lingo that I used. And two, for some odd reason, I don't know how I did this, but I picked up a very slight Southern drawl when I was at Fort Bragg. I have no idea how that happened.
Right.
Because it's not as if I was around like the local folk. I was on the base with people from all
Right.
over the place. But sure enough, I had some kind of weird, maybe it was, who knows, maybe it wasn't a Southern drawl. Maybe it was just some kind of weird military base, like, yeah, screwy thing.
Some
like
screwy morphed accent thing.
Yeah. I mean, when you see somebody, I mean, you probably meet somebody every once in a while that's from some country, but they got some weird accent. And what I mean is like this. I know a guy locally here who's in a marketing company. The guy's name, he's got the most Scandinavian name you ever heard, but he's got an Australian accent, right? Which makes zero sense because because it's one of those things where his mom is an Australian or his dad, one of the two, I don't know. So he's got this Scandinavian name, but he grew up in Australia, but he got obviously exposed to the other parent, so it just screws up the accent, so it doesn't sound quite right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's probably what happened to me. I probably got this kind of amalgamation of everything at Fort Bragg. So anyway, it takes you a while to drop that stuff. Same thing with lawyers. It just, it's we get so into the stuff we do, and we can talk to each other in our quote unquote language. Sometimes you guys like try hard, like, dude, put this in plain English. I kid you not, years ago, probably goes back 12 years now, maybe a little bit more than that, California had their, they have a book of jury instructions that they use at a trial. Depending on what the trial is, they'll pull out all the jury instructions and prepare a set and give it to the jury to use as they're deliberating what their decision's going to be, what the verdict's going to be. But that stuff was written decades ago, and just kind of from the developed case law and statutory law that had existed. And finally, someone said, you know what? We have got to really do a plain English push. And so they revamped. I mean, we're talking thousands of pages, well, hundreds of pages, but the thousands of lines of jury instructions to make them plain English jury instructions. And they're still hard as hell to understand. But, that was an effort. I mean, and you can see the difference. I mean, because it's funny because it's just English. It's just English, but it is a still
a different
unfamiliar, language. And believe me, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do this for a living. I look at stuff going, what in the hell does this mean? I'm supposed to understand this,
Sure.
And I'm still stumped at times. With what people are capable or somehow capable of putting together, but at any rate, so
yeah, man,
that's what I do.
It's awesome. I get we're kind of running low on time, so I want to get how people could get a hold of you out there.
Sure.
Like, what's the best way to contact you if they need assistance or if they just want to shoot the shit, or maybe somebody you spent time with in the military, which I know you have a group of guys that they meet with and whatnot. And I would say let's touch on that, but actually I want to do follow-on episodes about that. So
cool, man.
So
the best way to get a hold of me right now, just because I'm in this kind of transition here. It's funny I say that. I laugh about that. When I moved,
we never stop, man.
I moved. Yeah. So right now my email here is a great way to get a hold of me. And that's Nelson, ANELSON at Fortis Law, FORTISLAW, fortislaw.com. That's a great way to get a hold of me. I do have my own digital business card, or it's kind of just a small microsite. That's www.andynelson.info. It's a little bit out of date because it's got my old firm's info on there still, but it's got my mobile number. It's got my personal email on there as well. And then I can, my personal mobile, my mobile number's on there if you want to take a look at it.
Right.
But I talk to,
and then Facebook,
somebody every single day.
People can find you on Facebook.
I
know that's where I found you. So on one of the Vetrapreneur groups or wherever, there's
I'm in the Vetrapreneur tribe. I'm there.
I'm
in the military influencer group. I don't even know what my handle is. I think it's I think it's A. Nelson 100.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's Andy Nelson. I mean,
Andy Nelson. So
I should come up probably with the others. I've been told a number of times that I have this very popular name, and I'm thinking, well, to date, I've only met one other person with my name. But
I actually
work
with a guy named Andy Nelson.
And the other thing that's kind of weird to me is every time when I used to watch there's some Andy Nelson in Hollywood that is, I don't know, something to do with movie production because. Right. when I watch the Oscars, it's like, it's one of those things where multiple people get nominated. So probably like sound editing or something like that. Yeah. There's always blah, 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 and Andy Nelson. And I always hear that.
Oh, that's funny.
Just kind of weird, surreal. It's not me.
Not me. California. Nope.
Not me. Yeah. So that's how to get a hold of me.
Awesome.
And I love talking to people. I do. I mean, people out there, some people listening may know this. Unless I screwed up and somehow missed your message or screwed the pooch, I will make some time to talk to you and enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Love it, man. We'll have you back here because you and I had talked about getting you and your buddies on here, at least to talk about. I know that the next episode I want to talk about setting up like a group to get back in touch with folks that you haven't seen in possible decades,
Yeah. Yeah. Like my guys are still working and we got our place set for this. We have an annual retreat, reunion, whatever you want to call it. We've been doing it 5-6 years. So we got it set in a couple months here and just working out details. So,
and we'll talk about that on another episode. It's
cool.
It can be done, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, taking your time.
And I appreciate the invite.
And we will talk again soon. I'll give you a call probably.
Okay, Bennett.
In the next week.
Sounds great, man.
All right, brother.
All right.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. And as soon as this comes out, I will send you the links.
All right. I appreciate that a lot.
All right.
Thanks, man.
All right, brother.